America has a bit of a food secret. Most people don't realize this, but a lot of the stuff we casually eat in the US would be banned or heavily restricted in many European countries. And it's not because Europe hates fun, it's because their food rules are way stricter than ours. Meanwhile, the US has this "as long as a reasonable person wouldn't be fooled" rule, which is doing a lot of heavy lifting. And yes, that's a real standard. It's the same logic a judge used to dismiss a lawsuit against Pop-Tarts. The court basically said, no sane person truly believes this box is filled with piles of fresh strawberries. Fair point. But it reveals something bigger. Fake or imitation foods have quietly become normal in the American diet. A recent Johns Hopkins analysis found that more than half of the calories adults eat at home come from ultra-processed foods. So let's dig into what fake food actually is, how it became normal here, and why Europe drew the line. What even is fake food? Fake food sounds dramatic, but in the US, it's literally a legal category. It looks like real food, it's sold like real food, but structurally, it's engineered, designed to be cheaper, last longer, look prettier, and cost less to produce. Things like pasteurized processed cheese product, not legally cheese, non-dairy whipped topping, bacon bits that contain zero bacon, wasabi made from horseradish and chemicals, truffle oil that has never been near an actual truffle, cranberry juice blend that's mostly not cranberry. Sometimes the labels technically tell the truth, it's just hidden in tiny fonts or overly clever wording. And honestly, the economics make sense. Real maple syrup requires 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup. That's why it's $10 a bottle. Fake syrup is $2, tastes familiar, and stays liquid until the sun explodes. But the problem? These shortcuts are everywhere, and the foods many of us grew up with don't taste how they used to. You weren't imagining it. Recipes really have changed. How companies get away with it? We do have food labeling laws. The FDA and USDA regulate that. But the loopholes? Oh, there are many. Example, the US agreed to stop calling sparkling wine champagne, yet you can still buy California champagne today, because the legal wording left a door wide open. Whenever labels get too suggestive, people sue. There have been lawsuits over butterless butter cookies, whole wheat crackers made mostly of white flour, smokehouse almonds smoked with chemicals, not smoke, Godiva's Belgian 1926 label implying Belgian chocolate. That last one ended in a $20 million settlement. But let's be fair, imitation food isn't always evil. Plant-based milk, veggie burgers, and imitation crab meat exist because people want alternatives. Imitation crab is even considered safe in pregnancy because it's low in mercury. The real issue isn't that fake foods exist, it's how easily they blend in without consumers realizing it. How America became the imitation nation. After World War II, America needed convenience above all else. Frozen dinners, shelf-stable meals, powdered eggs, processed cheese. The goal was speed and long life, not culinary purity. Take cheese. Traditional cheese has existed for 10,000 years. Processed cheese? Only about a century. It lasts longer, melts smoother, and never changes flavor with age. Enter Kraft. Kraft mac and cheese launched in 1937. Cheap, filling, and perfect during the Great Depression and World War II rationing. Back then, it had a short ingredient list and used real cheddar. By the 1980s, cheese was still there, just less of it. They added buttermilk powder to stretch the flavor. Today, it's a long paragraph of stabilizers, oils, and additives. The nostalgia remained. The ingredients changed. Velveeta went through the same identity crisis. It's no longer considered cheese. It's a pasteurized prepared cheese product. Still iconic, still delicious, still not cheese. The FDA does regulate certain foods with identity standards, like what counts as jam or whole wheat bread, but their goal is consistency, not culinary heritage. That's where Europe enters the chat. Why Europe drew a hard line. Europe uses something called the precautionary principle. Translation: prove it's safe before you sell it. The US tends to do the opposite. Sell it until someone proves it's harmful. Beyond safety, Europe fiercely protects food identity. They use strict labels called PDO, Protected Designation of Origin. Examples: champagne must come from Champagne, France. Feta must be made in Greece. Kalamata olive oil must come from Kalamata. Parmigiano Reggiano can only come from specific Italian provinces. Gouda from the Netherlands. Irish whiskey from Ireland. Roquefort from France. These aren't suggestions. They're legally enforced. Meanwhile, in America, Parmesan can be American cheese, Pecorino Romano, Grana Padano, or, in one scandal, wood pulp. Yep, wood pulp, for anti-clumping. Europe also tracks food origins incredibly well. Even basic produce tells you exactly where it came from, down to the farm. Flour bags list the mill. Fish displays list the catch region. The result? Consumers know what they're eating, and authentic producers aren't buried under cheap knockoffs. The shift happening in America right now. Every year, more Americans care about what's actually in their food. People read ingredient lists, avoid preservatives, and look for cleaner labels. But clean eating is expensive. Processed food gives you more calories for less money. For families on tight budgets, that's hard to ignore. Research shows healthy food is about twice as expensive per calorie. Unhealthy diets add $50 billion a year to U.S. healthcare costs. A few foods in the U.S. do have special protection, like Tennessee whiskey and Vidalia onions. But those are exceptions, not the norm. Most foods? They're up for interpretation. My take. Most Americans don't realize what real, traditional versions of foods taste like because the imitations became the default. And while imitation foods won't hurt most people physically, they absolutely hurt small producers who make the real stuff. The farmers, cheesemakers, and artisans who can't compete with bargain bin copycats. Quality becomes a luxury, flavor becomes optional, and consumers don't even know what they're missing. Food for thought, literally. So now I want to hear from you. What real food did you learn wasn't actually real? Drop it in the comments. I'm curious. And as always, make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching Brain Munchies, and remember, keep chewing on facts.